Welcome to the 17th episode of the Most Serious Podcast. I was really excited before recording this episode because I got to talk to Ms. Chetna Vashisht, who is the founder of ChetChat. ChetChat is India's largest online talk show in education and career related space. Chetna ma'am is such a funny and a warm person. I didn't expect that I would laugh this much during the recording of this episode. We talked about how she went from aspiring to become a doctor to then doing her undergraduation in economics, then pursuing an MBA from XLRI Jamshedpur, going on to do a banking job in a multinational bank for the next 10 years, then quitting that job and entering the education space, creating ChetChat, which is now widely regarded as one of the best channels for professional development. Chetna ma'am has had a very interesting and exciting career. We talk about that, obviously. We also get her views on the future of jobs and how can an individual acquire a skill set, or how can they acquire the mindset that would allow them to build a career that they're proud of. Really insightful episode of the Most Serious Podcast. I hope you like it. Let's get into the episode now. Chetna Vashisht, ma'am, thank you so much for doing this. Welcome to the Most Serious Podcast.
Thank you, Ripudaman, for having me. I just hope you don't want me to be very serious on the podcast. That's about all.
No, you can be serious, you can be funny, and you are a very funny individual. I hope people do discover that in the coming 40-45 minutes. But a huge disclaimer that I would still want to give out is please excuse me for my limited vocabulary, my English speaking skills.
I get that all the time. This is hilarious. Sometimes the people I look up to, I talk to them and they tell me, sorry, but my English... I'm not an English teacher, for heaven's sake. So I'm just a normal person and I make the same mistakes that all of you make in English. I'm just trying to sort of see if all of us can learn together, kind of thing.
I was, before recording this episode, let me tell this to everyone. I was watching a ChetChat video on how to not pronounce the common words wrong, or just how to introduce myself in English.
I make the same pronunciation mistake. Sometimes I have to think that, oh my God, how am I making the pronunciation mistake? I'm supposed to be an expert, but it's challenging.
First of all, I want to ask you, since we are on the subject of English at the beginning only, so I don't get this idea of the pronunciations changing. So who's the one who's deciding, now we won't call this education, we'll call this education. We won't call this finance, we'll call this finance. Or I don't know, whatever the heck these guys are making these pronunciations change. So what's happening with that? Who decides these?
I don't know. I wish I knew that. The point is, sometimes I feel that the British probably were the originators of the language. And then as people moved around, and then when they went to America, they decided we will do exactly the opposite of everything that the British do. So everything, if the British call it kilometer, the Americans call it a mile. If they call it a kilogram, they call it a pound. They just decided they will do everything the other way around. And so we are stuck with these two totally different contrasting pronunciations. And like, should I go this way? Should I go this way?
Exactly.
But it gets influenced by people. And so when we travel, also you'll find people with multiple sort of accents. I have gone to so many places where people tell me, are you Spanish? And they start speaking to me in Spanish. And I look at them like, saying, hello.
My God. I think, that's a dialect part of it also, different areas, different dialects of the same language. So... But still, it's a tough job to keep up with these pronunciations.
Yeah, totally. But I think just say whatever comes to your head. Say it straight. Say it with confidence, and people will start actually doubting their own stuff when they listen to you. They think that sounds just about right. That person was so confident.
Oh my God! This reminds me of, I don't know, a funny incident wherein a person was pronouncing a word so confidently, and he was saying it with such passion, and people maybe it was the wrong pronunciation, but after a while people were thinking that ki hamari to galat nahi hai pronunciation, maybe he's saying it right.
That's the beauty of confidence, that it makes everybody else start thinking that, hey, Yeah, but we always need to remember that everyone is just the same as us. Everyone has the same insecurities as us. We look at people and we think celebrity and all that. Everyone's just normal. Same
Hmm.
insecurities, same issues, same problems, same pronunciation problems also. Don't
Wow.
worry.
So, Chetna ma'am, you obviously started on this very, I don't think I have a right word for your whole career path journey, but this very exciting, interesting journey. I got to know that you went to Delhi University and then in XLRI Jamshedpur, worked in a top job, then created a personal brand, now are into the education industry. I don't know. So how did you make those decisions? Like, was it always a conscious process? How did you get started on this crazy routine, this crazy journey?
Yeah. In hindsight, everyone says, oh, all the dots connect, and this is exactly where you were meant to be, and which is why you did what you did. I'm not sure at any point of time I could see any dot connecting to anything else. I wanted to become a doctor in school. I
Okay.
really wanted to. Even today on Netflix, I watch Grey's Anatomy and courses,
Wow.
or whatever, the programs like that, because
Yeah.
secretly inside me is this doctor that never happened, that failed the medical entrance exam. And
Oh my
then
God. Yeah.
it was like, my parents were like, kya padte rahoge tum sara time, do an MBA. So I
Hmm.
went to Delhi University to do economics honors because somebody told me economics is a great field. I knew
Hmm.
nothing about it. I went there first day in the college. Somebody asked me, "What did you do in school?" I said, "Science." So they said, "What dropout are you? Medical dropout or engineering dropout?" It's like, okay, that defines me. I'm a medical dropout.
Right.
Anyway, after that, I did my MBA and I said I was very ambitious. So I stood second in my university in XLR. I shouldn't call it a university,
Wow.
but that's kind of one of the very hardworking students, nerdy, used to make notes in class. So after that, I was very ambitious. I said, I'm going to get the first job. The
Okay.
first job was a bank. And I was like, I want to get the first job that comes in. Placement day zero, I want to get it. So if it was a bank, I got into a bank. Literally, that was as much decision making that I did. It could have been a zoo, and I would have been in the zoo.
Wow.
It's just to tell you that, sometimes things happen. So kids are like, should I plan my career? And I feel like some things happen. Anyway, I got
Hmm.
into the bank. I loved it. Sometimes you just like it. Everything's good. You enjoy it. You do well. But 10 years later, I realized that this may not be something I'm going to cherish for a long time. And I went up to IIM Bangalore. I just went there for placements actually.
Okay.
And by chance, and I think a lot of life happens by chance. You're making plans and something else happens. I met this marketing director. So instead of the placement director was busy, so the marketing director came in and sat in the meeting that I had gone for. And so we got talking about marketing. And I just casually told him that I would love to teach one day. And I was a banker, and I said I would love to teach one day. And he says, "Hey, why don't you come and teach? Because we're always looking for people from industry to come and teach." And
Okay.
I was like, okay, sounds like a good idea. But I was in a full time multinational banking job, which had a Saturday working as well. And to
Hmm.
say, hey, come and teach, and I'm Bangalore. And have you seen Three Idiots, by the way?
Yeah.
That huge auditorium is IIM Bangalore. Now just imagine you're, about 20 something. I was 20 something and standing in this huge auditorium with those students who are so super brilliant because they got admitted into
Obviously.
IIM
Yeah.
Bangalore, right? And I'm standing there with my 6-day job, trying to quickly put some presentation together for the 7th day. And I stood there and I asked them, so I was teaching this program called Services Marketing. I said, have you guys ever been to McDonald's? And they said, no, miss, never. And that's where I realized how much effort it takes to be a casual teacher.
Right.
But cut a long story short, I loved what I did. And I said, this is what I want to do. I left my banking job. It was a total plunge into the darkness, but I just went with my heart. I've always just gone with my heart. Having said that, I wouldn't advise that to everybody, but I went with my heart. So be careful when you take. And finally, the teaching and the training and everything, the rest of it just had a life of its own. Once I was in the education sector, it just happened. YouTube was another plunge in the dark because it was like something 6 years ago. YouTube was not YouTube. It wasn't
Exactly.
like on everybody's phone. People
Right.
didn't have smartphones back then. They didn't have an app called YouTube. And here I was trying to do YouTube. And my mother is like, पता नहीं क्या वीडियो बनाती रहती है. You know? इतना अच्छा जॉब छोड़ दिया, पता नहीं क्या करती रहती, वीडियो बनाती रहती है. Like, okay. You know?
How do you explain it to them?
Seriously, and I was like, I want to make a difference to students' life. I want to change people's life. And they're looking at me saying, okay, who leaves this big career and just does something, and nobody ever watches your video except when you send them to us to watch. Anyway, it all worked out well in the end. It may not have, but I'm thankful.
But like in those moments when you were, as you said, like, you went with the flow, most of the things happened with a chance. So you are a very happy-go-lucky kind of a person. I get that vibe from you. But there must have been second doubting, or there must have been, was there or wasn't?
All the time, even today.
Okay.
It never goes away. It never goes away. And it's not about... it's not so much about doubting the whole thing, like, should I even have been here? In the beginning, sometimes there is, should I even have been here also? That happens. And I feel you just have to trust your gut. If your gut says that, look, I'm happy doing this, and I think there's something to it, keep going. But self-doubt is very important because that's where you learn. Because imagine if you weren't questioning yourself, if you weren't sort of ready to go back to ground zero, how would you ever learn? So I feel like look back, look at your failures. So sometimes I make a video. I love the video. I've done a tremendous amount of research on it. And I think this could be the next big video, and it doesn't do well.
Okay.
And sometimes I make this video where I'm like, should I even release it? Really, that's happened to me. Sometimes the video, I'm like, should I even release it? This is not so great. And it goes above 1 million. So the point is, look at your successes and failures with the same microscope. And people say this, but I seriously believe, go back, look at your successes, don't personalize it. It's like saying, okay, my audience likes this. Or, okay, my audience didn't like this. What did they like and what did they not like? And just try to learn from it and move on. Don't take it personally on yourself saying, hey, I failed, or I succeeded, or I am 3 million big. I never look at that myself. I have got 3 million subscribers. No, it's not me. It's just that, incidentally, I was telling them something they wanted to hear, or that helped them. Tomorrow, if I stop telling them something that they want to hear and I start doing comedy, maybe, and they'll all run away.
You should do comedy. I would be the first subscriber and the first promoter.
I tried it, by the way, I tried it. And I did this one video.
Okay.
Where I took one line and I say, you have to say this line in 7 different ways. Okay. I don't know if you've ever seen that video, but I could possibly send it to you sometime. Okay. I took this line called admission letter aa gaya hai. I've got admission letter aa gaya hai. Those were the days when I was doing college. Admission letter aa gaya hai. So admission letter aa gaya hai. Gusse se admission letter aa gaya hai. Flirting se admission letter aa gaya hai. Happily admission letter, daddy, mummy, everything. Finally, I did a Pummy auntie also. Pummy auntie, gal dosa. To me, it was like, I was enjoying it, loving it. And I thought this could be that career change. By the way, I love career changes, as you know.
Yeah.
So I said, this could be the change between the education Chetna and the actor Chetna. And I have arrived at the acting thing. I released that video and first comment under it is saying, "Ye ma'am, kya kar rahe ho, ma'am? Aap padhao na humko." मेरा इतना अच्छा करियर वहीं पे खत्म हो गया.
Oh my God. It's like that story जिसमें वो that guy keeps dreaming on his head, वो eggs carry करके ले जा रहा होता कहीं पे कि ये मुर्गी बन जाएगी, and then this will turn into something else, and then it all shatters with one small action.
अपने ही सर पे सब गिर रहा होता है. Yeah, but I'm also a believer. I also feel that you're meant to be in a certain place. You have a purpose, and you're doing this for a purpose. So I remember this episode, and I had met. So I opened a newspaper, and it said career fair. So I never go to these career fairs,
Okay.
but that career fair had a whole list of very popular people attending it. So I said, let me go. I just picked up, I literally saw career fair. I must have seen the newspaper at about 12 in the morning. I picked up my car and I drove and I went there.
Okay.
And I had no idea that if I reached there at 12:45, who's going to be the speaker over there. But I just landed up. And they were running terribly late. And by chance, the 10 a.m. ka speaker was to speak at 12:45, and that was Terence Lewis. Terence Lewis,
okay.
the Bollywood choreographer. I said, okay, I have come here for a career fair. What do I do listening to a dance choreographer?
Choreographer, yeah.
But anyway, I landed up there in Bombay. If you travel 45 minutes to go somewhere, it better count for something. So I said, let me attend. So I attended. I attended this session where Terence Lewis part and talks about motivation and everything, and I totally loved it. And while he was speaking, I was thinking, what if I interview him for the channel? And there's one voice in me, the self-doubt voice saying, "Haan, wo tere hi channel pe aayega, for sure." At that time, I must have had about 5,000 or 6,000 subscribers.
Okay.
But I was like, I'm going to call him. I'm going to invite him. He's going to come for my, how we all have these big dreams. So I came back and I did some Google search and I found an email ID and I emailed him and promptly I got a response from his PR team. And long story short, I was in front of him in his living room conducting the interview. Super excited, I'm going to now conduct Bollywood celebrity interviews. I'm going to be this. That is the only celebrity I've interviewed from then till now.
Oh my God.
Never ever have I interviewed. And I asked myself, one day saying, what were you doing interviewing Terence Lewis? It has nothing to do with your career channel. Till one day, and this long story is to tell you this, till one day, a friend of mine called me up and she said that, my daughter is a dancer. But she was so depressed that she was almost about to commit suicide till she saw your interview with Terence. And the way Terence spoke about all the struggles that he had had and how and by the way, Terence has had a very difficult life. So with all those challenges, if he could be successful, my daughter said, fine, I'm not giving up. I am going to be successful one day. And I heard her and I said, you know what? I went all the way to Goregaon and did that interview only for your daughter. That was the reason I did it. So to me, it's not about 3 million or, one of my videos today is almost about to make 10 million views. It's not about those numbers. It's to me, if one person's life can change, if one person can become more confident, one person can achieve their dreams, then what did I do? I spent 1 week making a video. And in 1 week, if I can save one person's life, or I can make that person's life or dreams come true, then I think it's fine, no? What's the big deal? It's a great thing that you're doing. If you can do. So I keep telling these stories to people about how students write to me and tell me. So just yesterday, I got a message from a student saying that I was so underconfident. People used to laugh at me and make fun of me. And now I watch your videos and I make notes of all these things that I can say in class. And when I go back and I say them, they all look at me and they say, wow, you're so cool and all. And to me, it's like such a big deal, That is the reason you want to do this. So,
that's
I don't know if I answered your, but I just went off on a tangent, I thought.
No, that's the thing with podcasting, right? There's no going off the tangent. This isn't a interview or a commercial take that I'm trying to get out of you. I just wanted to get this real insight version. But that's really sweet of what you're talking about. And the part that I liked the best about this whole description was that you have this distinction between you and your numbers, or you and the pursuits that you followed. Because I think I struggle with it. I think most people struggle with it. But how does one actually make that distinction? Because when I look at myself, or when people eventually look at themselves and they think about what life have I lived, right? They look at or professionals, maybe, I don't know if this happens or not, but professionals look at their resumes and they go about, okay, what companies have I worked with, what institutions have I gone with, and that's their identity, that's the association that they have about who they are. So how does that distinction come? Does it come naturally? Do you have to make an effort to meditate on the fact that, okay, I am not all of these things, but I am actually an individual identity who does all these things? So how did that journey happen for you?
Yeah, that even today, I mean, to me, I'm exactly the same person I was when I was struggling, for the simple reason. This is one thing. This is, I just feel this could be the reason. I'm not sure, but I think this could be the reason. Is
Yeah.
that I always put a challenge in front of me to learn something new. And this is
Okay.
not just a cliche. So if you get to a certain point, you need to unsettle yourself, because otherwise you'll become like, oh, I've become very big at what I am. So you unsettle yourself and you say, hey, okay, fine. You're doing what you're doing. What if you did something 2 years ago and you're still doing it? Then you're not doing justice to yourself. You have to keep doing something new and different. So, for instance, now I recently reached out to my team in Byju's, and I work in Byju's, and I reached out to them and I said, I've never really learned motion graphics and animations, and you guys are so super awesome at it. So will you teach me? And they were like looking at me and they're saying, oh, the VP is asking us that can we teach them and all. I said, no, I'm not no VP. You guys know motion graphics and animations. I know nothing. I'm a student. You're the teacher. Can you teach me every Sunday, 1 hour a day? Can you teach me this? And they were like, wow, that is so cool. But it's not a wow thing. It's for me, I remind myself, listen, you don't know this.
Right.
So just go learn it. And then I hope I learn it one day. And after that, I'll remind myself of something else that I don't know. And so I'm always on this journey of learning something different. And so therefore, I don't have time to say, hey, I'm good at it. Because the moment I say I'm good at it, that's where my journey will stop.
Right.
And there is nothing static. The world is changing. And if I stop, then I start moving backwards. There's this treadmill actually. So you never have to sort of say, I am a. You just say, what do I need to learn next and next and next and next? And it's not about 3 million and 5 million. Honestly, those are not my goals. Sometimes my team, I know I have these very enthusiastic people in my team who I connect with every Sunday. And my SEO manager, for instance, tells me, Madam, 5 million ho jayenge. So it's nice. I mean, he gets motivated by it, and that's his goal. And I love it that he has that goal, but that's not my goal. That's not my goal. My goal is, what can I do tomorrow that a student writes to me and says, my life changed because of your video? What can I do new? What can I learn? Those are my goals.
I think the best part about it is the realism of it and the realistic approach that you take. It's not after achieving something or after getting to somewhere, you still keep that realistic on the ground type of personality, and that's amazing. I appreciate it. But since we're on the subject of the world, the dynamic nature of this world and how it's always changing, and career paths, and since we have the prime example of different career paths, so I watched your TED talk also, and therein also you talked about jobs in the future, career paths in the future.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know, how do you view, like, it has been a, how would you call it, enormous change in the 5-10 years, whatever time you've seen, and I am still a kid, but like, you've seen the pre-internet, post-internet, the conventional jobs, and now people doing, like, let's say podcasting is now a real job, or video game streaming is a real job. So how do you feel about the next 10 years, or what's your take on the next 20 years of the professional world would look like, or the jobs in the future would look like?
Okay, so if anybody can sort of crystal gaze and say, I know what they're going to look like, then I think there's a problem. But the fact is that they will look so different that it would be unrecognizable. And it's exponential. So what took 30 years to change will now change in 3 or 10 or 5. It'll change that fast. So here's something I always say. I say this to people in my office. I say this to the people in my own team, and I say this to the students on the internet as well. Is don't count your experience in I have spent 3 years here or 2 years here, or this is the next company I want to go for, or this is the next title I want. Ask yourself what skills you're learning. And there are some skills that you can reasonably look at and say these could be the skills of the future. So in the world that I am in, content creation is a skill of the present. It's a very, very big skill of the present. It will be a skill of the future, but it will not be as big as it is today. It will change its form. Remember that. I remember saying this in my first TED talk, which was a couple of years ago, where I said that content creation is the job of the future. And I can see that we are bang in the middle of content creation. So right now, it's all about content creation, but it's not going to be like this in the future. But the art of learning how to create different content, the skills of perhaps writing, communicating, conceptualizing, being able to communicate in 1.5 minutes what we could take 10 minutes to communicate, the visual part of the media part of communicating it, that skill will continue to be a core skill that will allow you to pivot into the next whatever. What is the next whatever? I don't know. But these skills of content creation and communication and visualization will form a core part of that pivoting. One of these 3-4 skills will become big and you can pivot. It's not only these 3-4, whether you look at artificial intelligence, whether you look at the ability to analyze data, whether you look at robotics, whether you look at design thinking, all of these skills are skills for the future. Which one of them is going to survive? We don't know. Which one of them is going to become really big? We don't know. But I feel keep learning these skills. If you have learned one, learn another. You learn the second, learn a third. And one of these is going to become really big. And, I keep quoting Scott Adams, who's the founder of the Dilbert cartoons, who says that you may never become the best footballer, you may never become the best content creator, you may never become the best YouTuber, you may never become the best podcaster. But if you know YouTubing and podcasting and writing and visualization and 3D animations and motion graphics and something else, then that stack of talent could be so unique that when the next wave or when the next need comes in, you could be perhaps the only person who knows all those 4-5 things.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a big goal. And that's my personal goal. I'm not just saying it, it's a personal goal. I want to move from one skill to the next, and that's all that there is. It'll unfold at some point.
I also think about this a lot. I know this is true for people in our generation, that creativity, and this has been true for all of humanity's history, that creativity has always been the uniqueness or the individualistic point that people do have in their personalities. And you talked about that in your TED talk as well, that Nobel prize winners, they all have a creative side to them, and the chances of them becoming a painter or musician or an artist are more. So I think I experienced this in my life also, that the creativity has gone because I'm also a believer in the theory of creativity arises from boredom. And now, since we're not ever bored, we always have something to do. We always have some kind of simulation going on. We always are experiencing some kind of, let's say, content or whatever we're doing. So that emptiness that creativity needs to nurture itself has kind of shifted, and there's no space for a guy getting bored and thinking about introspecting or maybe all of that thing. So do you think, is this a struggle, or do you believe this is the way it's going to be, or should people make a conscious effort to change it? So how do you think about all of this situation?
So creativity is not something that comes from saying that, hey, I'm going to take a full day off and I'm going to lie down on my hammock and now I'm going to think of ideas. That's not how it works. Creativity works when you're working. Let me tell you the biggest fear of creativity, in my opinion, is
Sure.
not lack of time. It's not lack of ideas. It is fear. It is
Okay.
fear. Good is the greatest enemy of the great. So what happens to us is we think, hey, I have a good job. I have a good skill. I can speak good English. If I talk about English, what happens with English? I can speak good English. People understand what I'm saying. Why do I need to become great? I have a good job, good pay, good wife, good house, good car. Chill. Where does complacency set in and where does creativity go out? When you fear that if I take a risk right now, it's going to upset everything that I have already created. But there is no, okay, how do I say this? There is nothing that is yours. How should I say this to you? I have produced 300 videos so far.
Right.
I produce them. I physically send them out into the airwaves and they are gone. They're no longer mine. So there's nothing to hold on to.
Got it. Yeah.
My next video is what imagine every Friday you're releasing a movie and 3 million people are judging you on it. Right? There is no past. There is no legacy. Every week, and YouTube has a beautiful algorithm. Of course, it's a pain when it comes to creators like us, but it's beautiful, which is that every video stands on its own feet. If it does well, it does well. It doesn't do well, it doesn't do well. It's nothing to do with what you did yesterday and day before. So that is so empowering. It frees you. It says, I have no legacy. Every week I have to create something smashing, otherwise I'm gone. I'm going to be judged on every week you have to say, can I do something better than what I did next week? And you can't always do it. But you have to, the same way, when you're in a job, don't be afraid. So I work for a company, but sometimes in a company, people tend to say, okay, we can't make mistakes. But hey, no, if you don't make mistakes, that's the place you're going to stop learning. If you keep repeating what you've been doing for the past 10 days, 11th day, you do the same thing, you're signing your fate. Right. Absolutely. Don't fear.
But I'm sure that does solve most of the problems. But how do you actually ever get to that place? I think you would respond this with the constant journey of it. I believe that's the true answer for it.
Yeah, it's a journey. It's also a calling. If you tell yourself that there is a power greater than you, you're not so big that you're orchestrating everything. The whole world is not resting on your shoulders,
That's the biggest point, right?
Just leave it, let go. Things have a pattern, things will happen. Yeah. I keep saying if my video is meant to open in front of somebody's eyes and it's meant to help somebody, even if that person doesn't watch anything ever on YouTube, he or she will accidentally open YouTube and my video will pop up in front of them and it will help them. If it's meant to help them, it will happen. So don't take yourself so seriously that, I'm so great. It's okay. I can be foolish. I can do acting also. I can speak in Hindi also. I can be what I am. It's fine. Just release yourself from your own.
No, I was thinking about, I'll make sure that all of the people around me, whenever they think about, getting too serious, I'll send them that Wally video, what you talked about in the beginning.
Well, ways to say admission letter mil gayi hai.
Admission letter mil gayi hai. That will keep them ki it's not that serious. It's okay. Try new things.
Try new things is the mantra. That's the only way to grow. And the only way to try new things is to let go of the fear of failure.
A very prime example, saying all of this stuff. I hope this will resonate to people, and that's the beauty of it. The thing you talked about, like if someone listens to this podcast and they do go on to decide, let me pursue that art, whatever artistic journey that I want to go on, or let me get on that dance class and try something new. I think that serves the purpose of whatever we're trying to do.
Totally, absolutely. And skills, like I'm saying, dance, you never know where it'll come in handy. So I remember there was this girl, I've told this story a few times. There was a girl who came to me. She was very fond of art and she was very fond of biology.
Okay.
And typical Indian parents were like, Dr. Bano, Dr. Bano. And she was like, I don't want to be a doctor. So they're like, oh, but bio kyun kar rahe ho? What is the point? You have to become a doctor. Now, just imagine what are we doing to this child. She likes biology. She likes drawing. My parents are saying drawing karti rehti, time pass karti rehti. But when she came to me, she said, should I stop doing art and should I become a doctor? And I said, I don't know what the future is. I don't even know what I'm going to tell you today, whether it's right or wrong. But all I'm telling you is, what does your gut tell you about drawing? When you do drawing, does it give you a great deep joy in your soul? She said, yeah. I said, when you study biology, does it make you feel like this is what I really love doing? She said, yeah. I said, when you think about medicine, does it make you feel like this is absolutely not what I want to do? She said, yeah. I said, then keep doing bio and keep doing drawing. It'll take you to your path. And I had no idea why I was saying what I was saying, because it's foolish at one level, It's foolish. There's no career counselor who will be able to ratify that this is a good decision. But I just said, go with your calling. And today, she is one of the very famous prosthetic designers. She reached a point where there are not too many people in the world who have been foolish enough to pursue bio and art. And so I landed myself at a sweet spot. And I was like, hey, this is the universe telling you that there is something. So that's why I keep saying skills, keep building skills. You can never go wrong if you know how to draw something. How can you go wrong if you know art? How can you go wrong if you know that? There's nothing wrong with that. How is it going to add up to your future? You don't need to know the answers today. But you can never go wrong by what you can go wrong with is by playing the same video game every single day for 12 hours a day, every single day. That could be wrong. Because if you're not learning anything and you're not growing in different ways, then there could be something wrong. Play video games. I have nothing. I made a video recently to even show you how online games can actually be beneficial to you. But don't do the same thing. You can't eat a mango for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can't. That way, you can't do the same thing all the time.
Yeah, at least. And also the way we're built is we will keep on doing the same thing. But if we were able enough to also shut down this part of our brain that or mind that wants to explore, then it would be fine, right? If we were machines and we were meant to do one thing and we won't think about all of the stuff that happens around and we didn't have ambition, then it was totally fine. But the contradiction that happens with the mind telling you live the best life, live the contented life, and explore new things, but still when you keep on doing the same thing, that creates the, I think, contradiction that people struggle with.
Yeah. See, if you want to become a surgeon, then I would say there are certain fields where it's just about that micro precision and practice. Then you need those 10,000 hours of practice. You need to focus on only one thing and you need to keep doing it and get better and better and better, because you cannot do some fields you cannot be good at by dabbling.
Yeah.
But if you're not trying to become a surgeon and you're trying to become this person who is not sort of in a career where it needs you to be completely in it 100%, like in one area, then widen your horizon. Widen your horizon, learn new skills, develop yourself, become, a better, to use a cliche, become a better version of yourself every now and then.
Yeah. I think I will try to comprehend this episode down personally also for myself. And I believe there was a lot of wisdom that I would have missed upon just by interacting. I'm sure if I hear it again, then I'll catch up on those words again. But thank you so much for taking the time out, Chetna ma'am. It always feels so surreal to talk to someone who you're always looking at on YouTube or looking on your phone while trying to learn something.
But thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate that you're spreading a message to people. And like I'm saying, if anybody can benefit from this podcast, then to me, this was a great effort from both you and me. To that extent, it's all about changing somebody's life and creating that impact on people. That's it. It's nothing bigger than that. We're all grains of sand at the end of the day. Each one is just a grain of sand. And some way you could just help another grain of sand to be a little
to be a better grain of sand, or to be a happier grain of sand.
Just a happier grain of sand. Who's doing some stuff, enjoying it, and liberated, and is having fun. I think that's a good grain of sand.
That's a contented grain of sand. I hope the grain of sands who end up listening to this enjoy it, and they obviously, if they had some valuable experience from this, they reach out to you and lost for words. I should go and check out a Chat video to find adjectives.
I'm back to being an English teacher. No, but thank you so much for having me here, and wish you all the luck with your podcast going forward. May you reach hundreds and millions of people and change their lives and help them find their goals and dreams.
Thank you so much, Chetna ma'am. And this brings us to the end of this really awesome episode of the Most Serious Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it did add some value in your life. We will be back again with another interesting conversation pretty soon.